definition of an athlete is the idea of greatness is possible. And in this, realizing greatness is possible, I can do this. And then I can do this. I can heal my body. I can love. I can share love. I can receive love. I can heal from this. And our bodies, we have this ability to regenerate ourselves. It's just accessing it, tapping into it. And this is what we're teaching. And this is what we're going to be sharing through our KM 5.9 care plan. As this person, like we call it a gladiator person, you know, our thing is not to really express and show weakness. You're just trying to work it out, internally. Me in my situation, I kind of pushed everyone away. I didn't really, say much. It was all, I was kind of raised in that sense of, I got it, I'll handle it. But really I was hurting. I was in the depressed state. I was, thoughts of suicide, thoughts of, the victim role were just all constantly playing.
Many of these athletes and players find themselves in life situations at the end of their career where they still have quite a lot of life ahead of them. They may be wondering what will they do with their life. They may be wondering what all the efforts that they had placed into their careers in the military or careers in professional sports, what has it come to and how will they make their contribution? This can be quite anxiety-provoking, and from an existential standpoint can really bring about a lot of questioning from the individual.
Meditation and yoga helped me connect to myself, realizing it actually created an idea of forgiving myself. The whole nature of an athlete is to sacrifice when you're sick, when you're injured, whether anything in the household is going on that's wrong. It's like whatever is to show up and be on the field and be accountable for your teammates.
I had been a Division I athlete, and he being a former pro and all-pro NFL linebacker, I thought it would be a cool and interesting conversation to have. I came across his vision in dealing with former NFL players as well as military veterans. Hearing that he was interested in developing sort of a standardized care plan to help contribute to their continued care after they're done with their professions.
What we're implementing in our program is basically life is happening. The statistic is 80,000 retired veterans suffering from Parkinson's or brain dementia in America. The suicide rate is astonishing. I mean, these guys, from a military perspective, put their lives on the line for sake of protecting us.
Keith had described to me how there's been a lot of focus on research, traumatic brain injury, concussions, but there hasn't been a lot done to evaluate the care post these injuries or post these traumas. So I thought, hey, we can actually contribute to developing something that actually is really impactful now.
We are your doctors. We're not the team's doctor. We're not you're not a medical study, but we're your doctor, and we're trying to share with you an idea that's going to help you go from one transition to the other.
So mindfulness deals with actually starting grounding in the present moment and in how things actually are.
That positive vibe is like a wave. And in that wave, it sets me up for another positive vibe, and it just kind of builds momentum. We're looking to grow this, expand this. And if we got to take the reins on our own, we'll do so. But you can be a part of this, and we're looking for adding members to the team. I lead 2015. How you guys doing? Namaste. This is how we say it in yoga, which means peace. Can you guys get up for me? I want to stand up. Let's kind of shake it off a little bit and just kind of find ourselves just finding our breath, right? And you can close your eyes or however you feel led to, but kind of just focus on the abdomen. You can release your hands, just kind of relax, let the shoulders drop, and kind of just find your breath. And I'll walk you through the breath if you need me. Inhale in the nose and breathe it out the mouth. Inhale through the nose and breathe it out the mouth. 2 more times. Inhale through the nose and breathe it out the mouth. 1 more time. Exhale. Let's have a seat. Nice. Well, it's a pleasure to be before you. A very interesting story there, I guess, if I say so myself. This is home. It's an honor to be before you, and it's an honor to come home and share the story and share my mission. It's so interesting because growing up in Dallas, actually Garland, football is like a religion. And that was one of the paths that I chose to be an athlete. Actually, before I was even playing, because growing up, my mother was very, she really didn't want me to get injured, and I had to convince her every year that let me play. All my friends were playing, I want to play, and by my middle school year or my 9th grade year, she let me play, and I had this desire, this idea that, coming home on Sundays after church and watching the Cowboys play, it was like one of those things that it just gravitated to me. I don't know if it's how it brought the family together to an agreement, to have peace or whatever, but nevertheless, we all would come together on Sundays and watch the games, and it was very fascinating to me because that was something that I was wanting to do. So I chose the path of being a football player. So through that, I want to have every school in the country recruiting me and wanted me to come play at their school, and I did that. And after that, I became an All-American at Texas A&M, which is amazing university. I don't know if we have any Aggies in the room, but amazing university, by the way. But from A&M, I went to the New Orleans Saints. I became a starter with New Orleans Saints, played for incredible Coach Mike Ditka. I played 6 years in New Orleans, 1 year in Houston, in my last season in Jacksonville. And that's where my story began. I was a starter my whole career. I was all pro. And this particular play, it was actually the second game of the season. We were playing the Buffalo Bills, making a tackle that I had made 1,000,000 times. Reading the play, I knew the play was coming. They were trying to isolate me on the backside with an angle route with the running back. And I saw the play coming, and in the play, I anticipated, I kind of played it off a little bit so the quarterback didn't know I was, kind of zoning in onto the play. And as he threw the ball, I lunged for the running back. And as the ball hit the running back's hands, I was going head first into his chest. And as I was going head first into his chest, I ended up on my back. And by this time in my life, I had done this 1,000,000 times. I had done this 1,000,000 times in my life before making a tackle, just like this. And on this particular play, I'm on my back, and I'm saying, Keith, get up. Keith, get up. And my body doesn't move, and I'm saying, Keith, get up. And 45 minutes later, they're having me there, and they're looking at me like, "What? We don't know what's going on with him. We hadn't moved him. I've heard the other games had changed to our station, and everyone's viewing me while I'm helpless on the ground after being this gladiator football player 1 second to transitioning to this vulnerable, helpless individual." The very interesting thing in this, my first thought was, this is embarrassing. Without even thinking about my health, I'm thinking this is embarrassing, right? So anyway, they had diagnosed me with a spinal contusion. I suffered paralysis for about a 6-month period from the neck down. And in this, I was in my second, I had a doctor in South Florida, Dr. Uribe, and they had me in a therapy session, and it so happened this woman, she talked to me about conscious breathing. And she says on the inhale, the diaphragm pushes down, on the exhale, it pushes up. And what that actually does, creating a circulating motion, the inheritance of the healing that we have from our breathing, the blood flow, the oxygen, how we can incorporate healing for ourselves. And how for me, I took that because I was used to, okay, what's the game plan? What's the playbook? And from that, I took that playbook, that breathing concept, that breathing exercise, that became my playbook. And I implemented it for my life because I felt that this was going to save me. I felt like if I was at the bottom of a barrel in a hole and like a rope was extended to me, this is what I was going to pull up to allow myself to get out of this hole. So in this, later on, I gained to learn that this is a concept of meditation. And a year and a half later, after really being functional, I found the concept of yoga and how it really changed my life, and how, as I look back and I saw the personality that I was holding on to, the illusion that I was holding on to, I start to see the similarities of how in society we have these personas of ourselves, these ideas of ourselves. And when that idea was dying off, I was left with Keith. And I was like, who is Keith Mitchell? I had just known myself as a football player. I just know myself as the media told me I was, as my family expected I was. But who is Keith, and what is Keith like? So I had to go deep inside of myself to create clarity for myself, to create a pathway that was going to give me fulfillment, that's going to give me freedom. And I guess this is what we're all here for anyway, is to how can we take our lives to that next step. And in this really brought me to this idea of the Light It Up Foundation, which is my foundation, which is some of the stuff that you kind of viewed on the video there. In the Light It Up Foundation, any of you guys know about Yogananda. Yogananda was yogi actually means seeker of truth. Yogananda he was kind of like one of the pioneers of bringing mindfulness to America. And it's so interesting because he had this autobiography of a yogi. It's a pretty prominent book. He also had just a movie documentary just came out. And he had this vision. He's like, I had this vision. I need to be in America. And he was talking about California, LA. And I'm not comparing myself to Yogananda, but I had an idea about being in LA, but it's because I had a girlfriend and she convinced me to move to LA. We were together for 6 months, and then we broke up, and I'm like, I'm in LA. But after that, I got back into myself, and a vision did come. And I had this idea of a vision, and I wanted to create a yoga retreat for the community. And I wanted to incorporate kids. I wanted to have an emphasis on kids. And I met Congressman Tim Ryan, who became my right-hand man that's really connected me to the political world. And Congressman Ryan, it's so interesting because he had me come up to Capitol Hill around this time last year. We did a meditation we had 30 senators and congressmen all mixed in a meditation on Capitol Hill. And I'm like, normally they call in like the Dalai Lama, people like that, but they came football player. I'm like, okay, we can do this. And we did that, but I had this idea of a retreat for the community. And LA is a tricky town, and I had been retired for a while at that point, about 7 years at that time. And I didn't know many people. But I had started getting really into myself. And I guess what we're talking about here is leadership and how can we step into that next paradigm. What I'm here to share with you, as you go within, creates clarity going without. And for me in this position, I was like, okay, I want 10,000 people to come to my event. I want 10,000 people to come to an event of mine in LA. That's a hard ticket without knowing anybody. There's so many things going on in LA. But nevertheless, I held true to that vision, manifesting. We call that in yoga and in meditation, we call that manifesting, creating your destiny. So I had this idea, 10,000 people. And I'm like, where am I going to do it? And the first thought was Dodger Stadium. It's so interesting about Dodger Stadium because they had a food and beverage contract. And I was like, there's no way in the world I must feed kids hot dogs after talking to them about mindfulness. So I'm like, all right, forget the Dodger Stadium. I didn't play baseball anyway. So we chose the LA Coliseum, which is a football stadium there that the USC Trojans, I thought they owned. And one of my friends is actually the head coach for SC, but because they didn't own it, I had to go through the city council. So I was like, okay, I got to get some political ties. So I got to create some relationships. So I started building, again, manifesting, planting seeds in the universe. Planting seeds in the universe, hoping, knowing by faith that it's going to come back. So in this, I started planting seeds, and I joined with Ultimed, which is a very interesting group that provide health care for people who can't afford it. And they did have political ties that could get me to the city council, to the mayor, and so forth. To make a long story short about this expo, we didn't have 10,000, we had 8,000. And we're coming back August 2016, and I'm looking to really blow that thing up. But not only that, Texas A&M came and they checked us out. They came and looked at the event, And they thought it was just going to be a yoga event. But they came and they said, wow, I don't know what this is, but I want you to do it in College Station. And so we're coming to College Station next year. And then Congressman Tim Ryan is a congressman out of Ohio. He's like, okay, Ohio State, they want this. So we're building this movement of mindfulness with our youth, the next leaders, the next generation of business owners, politicians, leaders. And so we're implementing mindfulness and what mindfulness looks like, whether it be your food, whether it be looking at, I offered holistic wellness, which is very back to this, the video, is the wellness concept. Most people don't even know holistic alternatives are even possible or what that looks like. We're building a transformational center on the East Coast in New Jersey. And what you saw, those doctors there, those are my doctors. We did a collaboration with the University of Rochester's medical group. The best of the best in the world have collaborated with my nonprofit to create a care plan for the veterans, the retired veterans, to allow them to have that smooth transition, a 3-year care plan for those guys to transition into life after serving time in the military. So, and also because of my alum of being a former football player, I saw the similarities there too. So we're bringing all 360, and ultimately, I want to make it available to everyone, because it needs to be to everyone. Because we're having, some of us are having these surgeries that are unnecessary. There's alternatives that we can take opportunities with to heal from those things. Our bodies have capabilities way beyond our understandings, but we've never given it a chance. So this is an opportunity that we can go in and heal that knee, connect to that ankle, fix that hip internally, and avoid the things like the surgeries and so forth that we kind of take parts in without knowing. So this is what we're here for, and I'm really excited about the opportunity. I met someone in the lobby. They said, "Well, you're the yoga instructor." I'm like, "Well, yoga, I'll take that." Because yoga looks like whatever you want it to be. If you're a business owner, one specific thing, we can't allow these little things that we try to put ourselves in, these little pockets. We're so much greater than that. This is just one of the things that we're good at, but there's so many other things that we can be even better at. So yeah, I'm a yoga instructor, but that yoga instructor right there is, I'm building a hospital, a holistic hospital on the East Coast. I'm not only doing that, I'm also going to teach yoga at the White House coming up in the lawn for the Obamas for Easter weekend. So yeah, I can be the yoga instructor. Yeah, you can be the owner. But my point of saying this is that we can pull so much more than we give ourselves the opportunity to. But again, this is why we're here, because we want to take that next step, and we deserve to take that next step, because the human being is so great, and the possibilities are so infinite. And so, it's a pleasure being here before you guys, and thank you so much for having me here. Namaste.
Good. Thank you, Keith.